for joining us on Arirang News. I'm Kim Dami in Seoul. At the Olympics, South Korea's Kim Won-ho and Jeong Na-eun will now aim for the gold in mixed doubles badminton after defeating their fellow Korean athletes Seung-jae and Chae-jung in a tight semifinal on Thursday. Meanwhile, South Korean boxer Lee Ji has secured the country's first Olympic boxing medal in 12 years. South Korea continued to see its inflation cool below 3% in July, but prices of fruits and vegetables still remained high. The World Bank has praised South Korea as a growth superstar that escaped from the middle-income trap through technology, investment, and innovation. The global agency stressed Korea's economic history is a must-read for policymakers in all middle-income countries. Team Korea proved themselves strong in badminton mixed doubles at the Paris Olympics on Thursday. Two South Korean teams faced one another in the semifinals. Now, the team that made it to the final will be aiming for the country's first gold medal in mixed badminton doubles in 16 years. Our Kim Si-young leads us this afternoon.
We begin with badminton mixed doubles, where two South Korean teams met in the semifinals on Wednesday. South Korea's Kim Won-ho and Jeong Na-eun beat their compatriots Seung-jae and Chae-jung 2-1 after a thrilling match at La Chapelle Arena in Paris. 25-year-old Kim and 24-year-old Jeong prevailed over last year's World Championship winning pair Seo and Chae in what is their first victory over their compatriots in 6 meetings. The winners Kim and Jeong are set to face world number 1 Zheng Shiwei and Hwang Ya-kyung of China in the gold medal match on Friday. Seo and Chae will compete for bronze against Yuta Watanabe and Arisa Higashino of Japan. Last time South Korea has won an Olympic medal in badminton's mixed doubles was in 2008. Now moving over to boxing. South Korea's Lee Ji has won Team Korea its first boxing medal in 12 years after securing at least a bronze from winning in the women's 54-kilogram quarterfinals on Thursday. 25-year-old Im has also become the first female boxer in Korea to win an Olympic medal. She beat Colombia's Jenny Marcela Arias Castañeda by 3-2 on Thursday evening local time at the North Paris Arena. As Olympic boxing does not play a bronze medal match, even if Im loses the semifinals, she is guaranteed a bronze medal. She is the first Korean boxer to win a medal at the Olympics since Han Sun-cheol won a silver in the men's 60-kilogram class in 2012. Lee Ji will face Hatis Akbaş of Turkey in the semifinals on Sunday local time. South Korea's Shin Yu-bin beat Japan's Miyu Hirano 4-3 on Thursday to secure a ticket to the semifinals in the women's singles table tennis. In what was an epic battle, Shin took a 3-game lead but was chased by Hirano, who drew level. Shin then won the tight 7th game with 13 points to 11. 20-year-old Shin is now eyeing her second medal in Paris after winning a bronze in mixed doubles. If she does so, it will be the first for Team Korea in 20 years since Yoo Seung-min won men's gold and Kim Kyung-ah won women's bronze in Athens. Shin Yu-bin will play China's Chen Meng on Friday at 10 a.m. local time in Paris. In gymnastics, famed American gymnast Simone Biles claimed her second Olympic all-around gymnastics title in an epic showdown. Biles scored a 59.131 total to win the gold medal in the women's individual all-around competition, beating Brazil's Rebeca Andrade, who came second with 57.932. Another American, Sunny Lee, won the bronze with 56.465. Biles's win made history as she became the only American gymnast to win gold in an all-around final more than once. Biles won her first title 8 years ago at the Rio Olympics. Kim Si-young, Arirang News.
An exchange of 24 prisoners between Russia and Western countries took place on Thursday, the largest such deal since the Cold War. The multi-country exchange in Turkey included American citizens, political prisoners, and human rights advocates. Our Park Kwon has more.
A historic prisoner exchange of 24 detainees between 7 Western countries, including the US and Russia, was made on Thursday. That's the largest since the post-Soviet era. 16 people who were held in Russian detention were released to the West in exchange for 8 Russians. 3 U.S. citizens, including Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich and former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan, were released under the deal. The swap is a result of months of negotiations between several countries involved, including the U.S., Germany, and Russia. The release of convicted Russian assassin Vadim Krasikov, who was serving a life sentence in Germany, was one of Russia's main requests and key to making the deal happen. Russian President Vladimir Putin visited the airport to welcome the returning Russians, including Krasikov. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden on Thursday thanked Washington's allies by calling it a feat of diplomacy.
The deal that made this possible was a feat of diplomacy and friendship. Multiple countries helped get this done. They joined the difficult, complex negotiations at my request, and I personally thank them all again.
He added that the U.S. will continue to make efforts to free all wrongfully detained Americans around the world. Also on Thursday, former U.S. President Donald Trump downplayed the deal, raising doubts that a massive amount of money would have been paid to Russia. But the White House said that no such money was sent and restrictions were lifted to conclude the exchange. Park Kwon, Arirang News.
Amid rising concerns of tensions escalating in the Middle East from the recent series of Israeli assassinations in Beirut and Tehran, U.S. President Joe Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke by the phone on Thursday to discuss new military plans for protecting Israel. Yun-jin reports.
On Thursday, U.S. President Joe Biden spoke over the phone with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The White House said that President Biden reaffirmed his commitment to Israel's security against all threats from Iran, including its proxy terrorist groups Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis. The two leaders discussed efforts to protect Israel, including new defensive U.S. military deployments. Biden also stressed the need for de-escalation in the region. The call came urgently following the killing of senior Hezbollah commander Fuad Shukr in Beirut and the assassination of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in the Iranian capital of Tehran earlier this week. Iran and Hamas blame Israel for the assassination of Haniyeh, to which Israel has neither denied nor confirmed. Leading prayers at Haniyeh's funeral on Thursday, Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei vowed revenge. And the Iranian military also warned Israel of retaliation, saying Israel's war crimes have evoked wrath. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu maintains that Israel will not succumb to any attacks by its enemies, having warned on Wednesday that any attacks will be responded to forcefully. In a televised statement, the Israeli leader warned citizens that challenging days are ahead, adding that the Israeli military is prepared for any scenario and that it will exact a heavy price for any aggression against Israel. The New York Times revealed on Thursday how Haniyeh was killed during his visit to Tehran. Citing a number of Middle Eastern officials, the article said that an explosive device was covertly smuggled into a guest house in Tehran where Haniyeh was staying. The bomb had been hidden about 2 months prior and detonated remotely when the Hamas leader was visiting Iran for the inauguration of the new president. Iran's threats of harsh punishment for Israel and Israel's warning of a forceful response to retaliatory actions raised concerns of tensions escalating in the Middle East. As Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah says, the war in Gaza has now entered a new phase. Yun-jin, Arirang News.
An appeals court in Montenegro on Thursday local time ruled that the disgraced Terraform Labs co-founder Do Kwon should be extradited to South Korea. This comes as the court upheld a ruling by a lower court to extradite Kwon to South Korea instead of the U.S. The appeals court also said that Thursday's decision is legally binding, but it isn't immediately clear when Kwon could be extradited. Kwon had been arrested and imprisoned in Montenegro for using a fake passport. He is accused of being behind the over $40 billion crash in the cryptocurrency market after Terra USD and its sister currency Luna Coin collapsed below the $1 peg. South Korea continued to see its inflation ease to below 3% in July. But fruit and vegetable prices remain high, and oil prices saw the biggest hike in 21 months. Our Moon Hae-ryun has the details.
Consumer prices in South Korea are beginning to stabilize, with inflation hovering in the 2% range for 4 months straight. Data from Statistics Korea on Friday show that the country's consumer price index, a key gauge of inflation, rose 2.6% in July compared to the same month the year before. Core inflation, excluding volatile food and energy prices, came to 2.2%, while the index measuring 144 daily necessities rose 3%. Compared to the month before, the consumer price index was higher last month than in June, but core inflation remained the same as prices of petroleum jumped. In July, oil prices rose by 8.4% year-on-year, which is the biggest hike seen in nearly 2 years. A spokesperson from the agency attributed this to several factors.
Oil prices increased as a result of the fuel tax cuts being scaled back and global crude oil prices rising. The base effect of low oil prices last year could also have had an effect.
Prices of fresh produce continue to climb, particularly for fruit and vegetables, as a result of poor weather conditions such as the heavy rain affecting yields. The price of pears saw the biggest growth ever recorded as it surged by more than 150% year-on-year. Vegetables such as lettuce, spinach and cabbage saw sharp gains on month, prompting the Agricultural Ministry to respond with urgent measures. Speaking at a meeting to discuss these latest figures, the Vice Minister of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs pledged to monitor the situation closely and strengthen on-site communication. The government has been supplying the market with up to 200 tons of cabbage per day since July 3rd, and plans to increase this to 250 tons by mid to late August to stabilize supply and demand. Moon Hae-ryun, Arirang News.
The World Bank has called South Korea a growth superstar that should serve as an example for all middle-income countries who want to achieve high income levels. Our Kim Bo-kyung tells us more.
The World Bank has come up with a 21st century playbook for high-quality growth for the countries hitting what's called the middle-income trap. This refers to a situation in which a middle-income country experiences systematic growth slowdowns, unable to take on the new economic structures needed to sustain high income levels. Usually, countries hit the trap at about 10% of annual U.S. GDP per person, around $8,000. The issue is also closely related to the global economy.
It's these emerging middle-income countries that have high shares of the global GDP. Once they start growing, they can pull up the rest of the global economy. It's these middle-income countries right now are 60% of global emissions. How they grow will matter, because if they grow in the way that they're not energy efficient and they don't lower carbon intensity of growth, there will be a global crisis.
The problem is that many middle-income countries face bigger challenges than before. Rapidly aging populations, high debt, rising protectionism, and the need to consider reducing emissions. Thus, the World Bank proposes its 3I strategy. Low-income countries need to focus on investment first, expanding investment in physical capital, education, and infrastructure firms. Once lower middle-income status is obtained, they need to adopt technologies from abroad and spread them across the economy. Innovation comes last, developing industrial structures and technical competencies to add value to and advance the global technology frontier. The same expert says South Korea is a standout example, as the country successfully went through the phases within a period of 40 years. South Korea worked on reforms to encourage investment, especially in education, asked large conglomerates, including Samsung, to infuse cutting-edge technologies into the production process, and then focused on frontier innovation, changing the economic course at the right time. Just taking a look at South Korea's case could be helpful for middle-income countries, but more could be done.
Is to have many more partnerships between leading Korean firms and emerging market firms, is to create these licensing and technology sharing relationships with other middle-income countries. because I think that's going to be a channel that will be an important conduit for knowledge transfer. But the foundations of Korean development was education. And how did Korea manage to have full primary, full secondary, technical education, and how did they maintain quality? I think lessons for that and tailoring those ideas and working with policy makers in emerging economies would be very useful.
김보경, Arirang News.
South Korea's beauty exports reached a record high during the first half of this year. But unlike previous increases, this was led by small and mid-sized companies that are working with original design manufacturers. Our business correspondent Lee Soo-jin has this report.
At this factory, cosmetic products from more than 900 domestic and global beauty brands are produced each year. These include renowned global brands such as L'Oreal and Kiehl's, as well as rising domestic indie brands, Beauty of Chosun and Dalba.
We no longer have an off-season, and our production lines are constantly running at full capacity, producing 60 products in 1 minute, thanks to the growing demand for our technologies.
And this technology and knowledge of ODMs are exactly how beauty exports of SMEs were able to reach a record $3.3 billion for the first half of the year. ODMs like Colmar Korea are often labeled as a chip foundry TSMC of the makeup industry because they not only manufacture products on behalf of companies, but also use their development knowledge to bring makeup ideas to life. Their impressive production capacity is also evident in the large tanks where blades are continuously mixing 30 to 40 ingredients at certain temperatures to ensure that the mixture remains smooth. But here's how their design and development knowledge is helping beauty SMEs grow.
Our R&D involves preemptively recognizing global beauty market trends and understanding what consumers want. 7% of our sales are continuously being invested in R&D and 30% of our employees are researchers.
ODM's active R&D investment is what makes them able to share their product design and development skills with SMEs that don't have the necessary capacity yet, allowing them to focus on marketing. By working with ODMs, SMEs can market a wide range of makeup products under their own brands. And the cosmetic knowledge of ODMs can be witnessed even in the most basic steps where they melt and mix ingredients that are in powder and oil form to create, in this case, sunscreens. It's also reflected here in the more complex steps of creating the most marketable shade for a lip tint, where the researcher measures and mixes different pigments in a specific proportion. And all of this is part of the larger process of collaborating with beauty SMEs to help them become competitive. The recent success of close collaborations with ODM companies like this is thus expected to lead to the growth of more indie beauty brands that will help continue the momentum of their exports. Lee Soo-jin, Arirang News.
It's no exaggeration to say there is a convenience store on every block here in South Korea. From drinks and snacks to basic necessities, these stores have almost everything. Our An Sung-jin tells us what makes them even more special.
I'm standing here on the streets of Seoul, and one thing that stands out is that you can easily spot a handful of convenience stores on just one single block. I'll be walking through to see how many there are. The second one. So there are a lot of them around, which adds to convenience, but what makes them convenient when you step inside? They're more than a store where you can grab a quick snack. As the name suggests, convenience stores are easily accessible and provide services that are needed in everyday life. Not only can you pick up groceries, but convenience stores do foreign currency, allow you to pay your utility bills, print things off, and even send and receive packages.
Before, I had to go to the post office, which would be time-consuming and expensive. But with the convenience store nearby, it's way cheaper and more convenient to do so.
According to the Korea Association of Convenience Store Industry, there are more than 55,000 convenience stores across the country. This means that there are approximately 950 people in the country per store, making South Korea the most densely populated when it comes to convenience stores.
As a retail store close to customers by providing various services, convenience stores provide comfort for customers, while for franchise stores, this can increase their sales. For delivery services, the usage rate increases significantly every year, and once customers come for parcel services, it sometimes leads to the sale of other products as well.
Data from the Trade Ministry shows that convenience store sales rose by nearly 10% last year. One expert says that there are various reasons as to why that's the case.
Korean convenience stores run various promotions and limited time sales. They also have tables outside so customers can enjoy the drinks or snacks that they have bought. Alongside an increase in single-person households, since more of the younger generation want to live in a city, they don't have much living space, which also means buying things in smaller quantities.
As these stores appear more and more on dramas and social media, it's no longer just the locals who come and enjoy the convenience store experience.
Everybody knows about convenience stores and how it's got everything here. In Canada, convenience stores are kind of just basically this convenient. If I need it, I'll go, but it's not as important as it would be.
With less time but more on the to-do list, the rise in convenience stores reflects the fast-paced life in South Korea. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. It's forecast to rain down in most parts of Korea. Central regions could see 5 to 60 millimeters of rain, while heavy passing showers are in the forecast for southern parts of the country. Have an umbrella with you. And once it starts to rain, it could pound down. So if you're enjoying your summer getaway, be mindful of sudden downpours. The nighttime temperatures are going up each day, and the weather agency forecasts that the tropical nights will carry on at least 10 more days. So brace for more sweaty nights and days, and that rain will make it even feel hotter with that higher humidity, so please take well care. Seoul gets up to 32 degrees Celsius, Jeju topping out at 34 degrees, Daegu, Gyeongju at 37 degrees Celsius. Strong sunshine should be beaming down on southern provinces when it does not rain. The intense heat shows no sign of easing up, but there could be occasional showers, so please keep an umbrella handy. With that in mind, let's take a look at the international weather conditions.
That is all we have at this hour. Arirang News will be back at 2 p.m. Korea time. Thanks for watching.